privacy and interoperability. Two blockchain buzzwords that are bandied about frequently but seldom put together. However, that is exactly something that Ren is trying to do. Sound intriguing? My name is Guy, and in this video I'm going to be diving into this dark pool of decentralized liquidity. So stick around for my in-depth overview. Before kicking off, you need to know that what I say is presented purely for educational purposes. This is not investment advice and should not be interpreted as such in any way. Although I'm not your financial advisor, I will, however, advise you to hit up that subscribe button. Oh, and of course, turn on those notifications. Keep up to date with the latest reviews to hit the bureau tube. Okay, all set? Let's roll into Ren. Ren is a really unique project that wants to create a decentralized exchange protocol that is not only private but also interoperable. Not only that, but with their Ren Virtual Machine, they want to give users the ability to build private and trustless decentralized applications. Applications that will be able to interact with a number of other blockchains and protocols. Originally launched as the Republic protocol, Ren was initially developed as a purely decentralized dark pool exchange protocol. However, since that time, their ambitions have expanded greatly, and so has the scope of the project. On paper, it looks like one of the most interesting projects in the decentralized finance or DeFi space currently. But let's start with the basics. What is this dark pool protocol of which I speak? You're probably aware of the concept of a decentralized exchange, or DEX. With this, you can exchange crypto assets with other users without the need for an intermediary. This is great, as it means that you can cut out the middleman, reduce fees, and be in charge of your own assets all the time. Now, while this is great, there is one drawback, and that is that all of your decentralized orders are public. They kind of have to be. How are you going to find a counterparty to your trade if you don't make your trading intentions known? This is where the concept of a private dark pool DEX protocol comes in. For those who don't know, dark pool is a term used in traditional finance to refer to anonymous OTC order books where hedge funds and banks can execute large block orders without spooking the market. So, what Ren has done has tried to define a protocol-level solution that would obfuscate orders and make them anonymous, hidden order books, if you will. This means that traders would be able to place large orders without revealing their positions or order intent, the best solution for large whales who don't want to move the market. Of course, this is just one of the use cases of Ren, and the Ren Virtual Machine will facilitate a whole host of DeFi programmability. And that's a great segue into the Ren Virtual Machine. So let's look at that, shall we? The Ren Virtual Machine, or RenVM, is the engine that powers the Ren network. It's basically a network along with an accompanying SDK that allows developers to build in multichain functionality to their dApps. The hope of the Ren developers is that the RenVM can be used as a plugin for decentralized finance applications. They can essentially incorporate the RenVM into their existing applications and smart contracts, thereby benefiting from cross-chain liquidity. Now, developing a private decentralized exchange protocol and virtual machine is no easy feat. Hence, Ren has developed some pretty advanced tech in order to facilitate this. For example, in order to facilitate the private matching of orders on the RenVM, Shamir secret sharing schemes are used. With this, orders are broken up into multiple shares and are distributed through the network in a secure way. These secret pieces then need to be reconstructed in order to match orders. This is where the dark nodes come in. They find two of the opposing orders and cooperate with the other nodes to match the orders. Those who run these nodes on the network will be rewarded with Ren tokens. Of course, the RenVM can also run secret scripts, and in order to do this, dark nodes use Ren's secure multi-party computations. This means that developers' code can be run without revealing the inputs or outputs. This includes the nodes that are actually running the computations. Another point to note is that the RenVM is Byzantine fault tolerant. This means that even if some of the nodes go down, the network will still function effectively, without any private info being compromised. And finally, when it comes to consensus, Ren uses hyperdrive. This is a modified version of the Tendermint consensus mechanism that was developed specifically for the RenVM. The Ren developers claim that this is fast. So fast, in fact, that it is able to complete transactions 100 times faster than atomic swaps. Okay, so the RenVM is a pretty impressive piece of kit, but another central component of the network is of course the Ren token. So let's take a look into that. Ren tokens serve a very important purpose within the Ren network. They are used as a bond for the dark node operators. This is done in order to align economic incentives and to dissuade any sort of dishonest behavior by these node operators. You can kind of think of it as the way that proof of stake requires users to stake tokens in order to encourage honest behavior in block production. Basically, having skin in the game. Currently, you'll need to place 100,000 Ren into a bond in order to run these dark nodes. The benefits of running a dark node is that you'll be paid transaction fees for recompiling order pieces and matching them with opposing orders. These fees were initially to be paid with Ren tokens, but this has recently been changed. Now, dark node operators can get rewarded in other cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Zcash, DAI, and other ERC20 tokens. And while we're on fees, I had a look at the fee model just to get an idea of how much it could eventually cost. The exact dynamics of fees on Ren are beyond the scope of this video, but here is the takeaway. There are two types of fees, dynamic fees and DAI fees. Dynamic fees are paid when users are moving tokens between two different blockchains, and they are paid in cryptocurrency that is being moved. This is handled by an Ethereum smart contract. Currently, you have a minimum fee of 0.1%. The person initiating the transaction can also increase these fees by an increment of 0.01%, should they want to make it a priority. These fees are pretty reasonable and are about the same as your pay on Binance, for example. Anyways, the DAI fees are a different type of fee that are used to run the secret scripts on the RenVM. The fee depends on factors such as amount of data, computation costs, prioritization, etc. These fees are needed in order to reduce spam on the network. Now, Ren sold their ERC20 tokens in a crowd sale that took place in January and February of 2018. This was a combined private sale and public sale spaced a few weeks apart. In the private sale, they sold about 56.6% of the token supply at a price of about 5 cents per token. They were able to take in about 30,000 ETH, which was about $28 million at the time. The public sale only saw about 8.6% of the supply being sold, and this was at a slightly higher price of 5.6 cents per token. They were able to take in an additional 5,000 ETH, which was equivalent to about $4.8 million. You can see the breakdown of how these funds were allocated right here. As you can see, the founders and investors were allocated about 10% of the total token supply. There was a vesting attached to this, but it means that the team are eligible to sell in January of 2020, so take note of that. When it comes to price, Ren has been on a pretty wild ride, to say the least. All-time highs were reached in August of this year at just over 14 cents. Unfortunately, they have retraced quite a bit since then. Bear market blues, eh? Anyways, let's look at the team and roadmap now. Ren is led by Taiyang Zhang as the CEO. He has previously worked as a software engineer and as a manager at a quantitative investment fund. The CTO is Lun Wang, who has also worked as a software developer. His speciality is in distributed and high-performance computing, so quite a shoo-in for a project like Ren. I won't go into the rest of the team here, but you can check on the team page on their website for more information. There's also a pretty impressive advisor pool behind the project, and it includes none other than Loi Lu. For those who don't know, Loi is the CEO of the Kyber Network, another decentralized exchange protocol that's making quite a few strides. Oh, and we've done a separate video on the Kyber Network that you can watch right here. Anyways, the Ren team has been quite busy over the past year and a half. You only need to take a look at their GitHub activity to get a sense of how much work is being done. Some of the most notable updates include the release of the first public dark nodes, the hyperdrive consensus algorithm, and most recently, the release of the RenVM chaosnet. With the chaosnet, Ren has brought decentralized cross-chain interoperability to Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Zcash. You can participate in chaosnet right now and either provide liquidity to the network, or you can run a dark node and earn rewards. I've linked to a handy guide on using chaosnet below. Now, of course, it goes without saying that you should handle it with caution as it is still in its infancy. Basically, be aware of the risks. Looking ahead, there are some pretty important releases on the horizon for the Ren network. The prime of these is the release of Ren Mainnet. This mainnet release will take place in 4 stages. We're past the first stage with chaosnet, so the next stage will be the mainnet sub-0, then the mainnet 0, and finally mainnet 1. Now, let's take a quick moment to appreciate how cool those names are. Kudos to the dev team on their branding. So, as you can probably imagine, mainnet 1 is the first full deployment of the RenVM, completely open to the public, permissionless, and decentralized. Let's move on now and take a look at the markets for the Ren token, shall we? Ren does about $3 million of trading volume in a day. This is about average for a token that's ranked just outside of the top 100. Its exchange support is pretty limited, if I must be honest. It does the bulk of the volume on Binance, with some trading done at other exchanges such as Huobi and X-Rates. This limited exchange support means that there's less opportunity for general price discovery of the Ren token, less markets for traders to arbitrage out mispricings. It also means that the liquidity for the Ren token is highly dependent on only a few exchanges. Moreover, large block orders on an exchange's order books could lead to slippage if they are not deep or liquid enough. For example, take a look at Binance's Ren Bitcoin order book. The buy-sell walls are not that high. This means that any order for more than 2 Bitcoin will have a relatively large impact on the price. Not ideal. Anyways, perhaps things will become more liquid with further exchange support. Now, I said a lot in this review, but I think it's fitting that I leave you guys with a few final thoughts. Firstly, I must say that I'm really quite intrigued by the Ren project. I've been following it since the ICO back in 2018. While projects like the 0x and Kyber networks were trying to develop decentralized exchange protocols, Ren wanted to take it one step further with a fully anonymous DEX protocol. They've since expanded their technology to take advantage of the monumental shift happening in decentralized finance. They're trying to provide a unique solution for interoperability that is not only private but scalable. I'm also quite impressed with the amount of work that has been done by the team. Not only is development continual, but the recent release of chaosnet shows that they are serious about sticking with their roadmap. 2020 looks like it could be an interesting year for the project if they're able to launch the RenVM mainnet. Not only will it give us a unique DEX opportunity, but it also allows for the development of a whole host of private applications facilitating decentralized finance. Now, of course, there are a few challenges that I think the project faces. Firstly, it's up against some tough competition. There are a number of DEX protocols that have launched in the past 2 years, with some which are at a much more progressed stage. These include the 2 that I've mentioned above, but there are many more. Moreover, it's not like the centralized exchanges are asleep at the wheel. For example, Binance has developed their own DEX on the Binance chain. This is actually pretty intuitive and many users are taking advantage of it. So how is Ren planning to capture some of this market share? Secondly, Ren is still in the development stages. Yes, the Chaos DEX has so far been a success, but it's still only a small-scale network test, about $3,000 traded since the end of November. As we've seen on Ethereum et al., nothing can really prepare a network like the stresses of extensive use. And lastly, that token price is quite depressing. It's back below the ICO price, which is less than ideal for the early contributors. Of course, prices are impacted by a multitude of things. I'm of the view that it's more market-related, and if Ren keeps on the right development track, the underlying value will be realized. And that brings to a close my review of Ren. But as usual, I need some input. What do you guys think of Ren? Do you think DeFi could shape the crypto markets? feel free to leave a comment. Also, if you guys found this video helpful, then be sure to let me know. Hit up that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I'm currently cooking up my next review and will be serving it to you very soon.